I have been seeing this discourse every other week, and oh my god, these people are so undereducated so much that I want all this discourse to end. I am here to lay down the law of what is correct and incorrect, so I brought in some carefully selected people for interviews that I did not cherry pick. Meet my BFS, some translators that have worked in the industry who just happen to have the same thought process as me. And I didn't show any other thoughts about the topic, as it doesn't really fit my narrative. Although, don't worry, it's just an opinion, so don't get upset. I'll just call you dumb and berate you the entire time while also building up your arguments so that we can destroy them one by one. Although remember, this is their opinions, not mine. I might agree, but if you disagree, it's actually the translators who are translating for your products that are saying this. So let's go!
कैसे हो भाई कहना
Somebody fucking help me, please. Unknown has me kid.
First, I am so upset about all the people who say stuff like support the translators and not localization. Like what? They are the same thing. You can't do one without the other. Although if you want just a translation, I'll show you how they're actually different. Look, remember back when you took a second language in school? Or actually more accurately, with my audience, how you will take a second language in about a few more years. When you translate the language into English and it comes out, how you good? You get a 100% on the test because you're translating it, not localizing it. In fact, when people have jobs in the military to translate, they are actually speaking super broken English to them, and that is what translating is. You put it into Google and whatever comes back is translation. You might say that there are some rules about languages that can't be conceptualized by a Google Translate, not because it's too nuanced, but because there are certain words that translate to one thing, but in the context of a sentence, it translates to something else. And Google Translate can't pick up that because it wasn't made for a complex understanding of every situation. You know, these people aren't actually talking about localization. So remember, if your second language teacher ever says that you're wrong about how you translate, tell them that they are wrong about what translation is and localization is. And localization is so nuanced that we can warp whatever it is said to actually be the exact opposite of its counterpart. Long story short, direct translations means Google Translate that can't pick up any key details and doesn't add any words to make it a coherent sentence. This is totally what people mean when they say they want a direct translation. Yup, 100%, not some bullshit semantic argument. They are asking for broken English that bots can't comprehend how to make into English. Now, let's get into the nuance of localization. So, not only can localization be super nuanced, that we can change it to be the exact opposite of what's being said, but it's also 100% good. There's no such thing as a bad localization. Now, this might sound confusing, but let me explain it. Localization is 100% subjective, so they objectively cannot be wrong. But even then, there are some people that want to point out stuff like 4 kids, and it is always brought up. Like really, it's been so many years. I know it isn't my side that just keeps bringing up 4 kids by saying you're just talking about 4 kids. But what you gotta know is one thing. These are not localizations. These are hack dubs. The definition of a hack dub is localizations that aren't what the author intends. Which means if you ever find a bad localization in anything, and you can 100% prove that this wasn't what the author intended, then that is where you're wrong about these being bad localizations, because it instantly becomes hack dubs. Hack dubs are always bad. Now let's forget that I used localization inside the definition of hack dubs, just to pretty much say any localization that is bad is a hack dub. Instead of saying, yeah, those were bad localizations, although those are such extreme examples, you can count them on a single hand. So remember, if you have any problem with localization, you're actually having a problem with hack dubs. Because if you can prove it's a bad localization, it de facto turns into a hack dub. Hashtag not true localization. Also, I gotta keep repeating this. I need to hit a good long amount of minutes saying the same thing over and over so that whoever is interested in the video to hear this propaganda, it will stick in their minds, and anyone that disagrees with it will have the most torturous time watching it, and the people that agree with it will be jerking themselves off each time. So, point number 2. If someone has a problem with localization, just call whatever they are talking about a new word that people are making up just so that we can't say localization is bad. We want to keep being able to change the character as much as possible and keeping our political buzzwords in. Which leads me to the next topic, normalization and political words. Like, it's so weird that people even have the audacity to even say there's such thing as a political word. Just a word in itself isn't a political statement. Like, this idea is so ridiculous. Also, normalization? Really? Changing the dialogue is the equivalent of putting a word on a bumper sticker. Like, really, I know a lot of people get attached to bumper stickers all the time to the point of cosplaying bumper stickers and try to literally be a bumper sticker and shapes their entire ideology around it. Like, people try to be just like the bumper stickers, always quoting them and trying to bring them up in everyday conversation and reality. Like, damn, I spend so much time talking about bumper stickers. In fact, there's a thing called Bumper Tube where people make entire bumper sticker dissections, just explaining each bumper sticker's philosophy and characterization. See, this bumper sticker's characterization is 100% legit, although let's say for some reason it doesn't fit as a characterization. Will saying a few specific words that clearly have no political leaning or debacle really try to spread some kind of secret agenda? These people 100% literally believe that these people will sit in a room and think, how will we screw with these people today? Like, it's even weird to think that saying specific words can even change culture. This totally didn't happen with a term called weaponized verbiage, which can be better attributed to Chairman Mao during his Cultural Revolution, as uniting the people against the secret police is easy, although uniting the people against their neighbors against the words you use every day is hard, which indirectly changes what is acceptable and not acceptable in society. As such, conformity may be attained by limited exertion of effort, and people have absorbed these terms via cultural osmosis, as it makes people who use them, who might be unpolitical and have unpolitical motives, perpetuate it daily. This totally doesn't subconsciously manipulate and change culture with very little effort. Like, you know, commies doing a thing in the past doesn't mean commies are currently doing a thing now. It's crazy talk. Hashtag commies never did anything wrong, as true communism's never been tried. Oh, you know, something about learning from the past, blah blah blah. Although, no matter how crazy of a crime, we will investigate. So, we asked the translators if they were guilty of this crime, and the translators did some looking into it. And the translators found themselves innocent of all charges. Let's keep looking into this logic, though. Like, this wouldn't even work, though. The story itself would have to have the themes of a progressive narrative for it to even work, which is why we never want all companies to just say BLM and trans rights, because we know better. That is 100% a marketing tool just to get our money, and exploiting us, while keeping us to buy their products. It's not like they will literally say anything just to get our money. We won't even clip out parts of a series that literally shows this stuff and now deem it as a political statement and supports this. Although, you know what's weird? Like, all these bad faith arguments saying all this stuff is political is all from a leftist perspective. Like, really, none of them would even say anything if it was a right-wing perspective. Like, it's just these people that are so based, biased about this. There was no political motives for any of these left-wing changes. Although the one in Ava that somewhat seemed barely right-wing, this one 100% was definitely without a doubt a political change. Like this person wasn't deemed a literal Nazi or anything, but yeah, they 100% did this change because of their politics, unlike us. That is just so happens to be the correct way to translate it. I mean, localizing it, that also happens to fit our worldview. So point number 3, words don't have a political agenda and can't change culture. Now that you have forgotten about some of my statements before, let's talk about the people who deem it as political statements and support this. I mean, they are correct. Literally just by saying it means that they support it. And it's such a progressive narrative, we have to buy it and support it. It isn't doing a feedback loop that validates my world beliefs. It is not like there are studies showing that validating someone's political beliefs gives them a dopamine hit equivalent to literal hard drugs and keeping them in this worldview. Although people on a random video that has barely any views ratioed it with some obvious political message, which wasn't even the point of the game. It wasn't some likelihood that someone posted on Twitter or some troll forum or whatever, and a troll campaign took place. Like, this 6,000 views of the video, which you can't even tell the reason why they disliked, totally translate to the entire community. Also, this one comment from a random Steam forum asked a question about its existence. Truly despicable people. Part 4. Every company in the world bends over backwards for us, but we're rebellious. This brings me to the final part of the video. This is all pointless. It doesn't matter if you think that there is a problem or not. We gotta talk about the poor starving children in Africa. I mean, the poor translators. When weebs dunk on these people and tell them to eat their own words, they do it with pride. Their pay is so low that they resorted to eating the translations. What they are paid isn't a livable wage at all. That is why all translators are dead. But not even the death can stop the passion of these people. Like, these employees are paid literally $0 because, they don't actually have employees because none of them are employees. But these translators over here, they are underpaid. They have statements. They have statements that if you're good at your job, it can take hours to translate an episode. And if you're bad, it can take an entire day. Each episode is like $80, which realistically is around 2.2K to 3.2K per month. This is underpaid. And I know this because we compared a multi-million-dollar company to a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise. And we found out the multi-trillion-dollar one pays more. Where a single mistake with them can cost a company upwards to millions upon millions and maybe even billions, versus costing thousands, possibly even $1 million. But hey, as long as we're comparing, let's see how well this stacks up if you compare it to others. Did you know you can be a translator for the military in the military? Shocking. We can compare how much a translator for anime makes versus how much a translator for the military makes. Think in your head, how much do you think a translator in the military makes? I should know. I was going for this for a while. Got an idea? Okay, you're wrong. It's about $20 to $200 per month. Why? Because translators are so plentiful that they aren't actually in super high demand unless it's specific languages that no one does. And they can do all of this without having some political controversy be a commonplace. Because, they're not obtuse assholes. So yeah, this proves that translators are underpaid, just like how a mom and pop business isn't making as much as Walmart is underpaid. If everyone isn't making the exact absolute most at the top 1%, then it's underpaid. It's not like it's the terms that they agree to work with, and the job before actually was done for free, meaning that is actually the rate that it's worth. These people aren't getting paid what it's worth. They should all go and charge into Sony at once and say, we aren't getting paid enough. If you don't raise our pay to $100 an hour, you will have to fire us all. And with that, Sony will have no choice but to give in to their demands. Now translators are getting paid $100 an hour. Point 5. If you want to find out how much you're worth, always look towards the exact tip top and never look down to find out just exactly how much better off you are than others. Censorship is a crazy topic. Like, people don't know you can change whatever you want in a story. Like, if they say a joke, you can make an unnecessary change to it as long as it's still a joke. Yeah, then what's the problem? The goal is to laugh. I mean, I know Bofuri had some lightly sexual lolly jokes in it, and they got changed to just be a cute joke, but was it really that bad? I mean, we took that out, so you don't even know that the original supports this kind of idea, and now that you are buying it, you are supporting it unknowingly. What is wrong with making you support stuff without your knowledge? 1 second, I think I hear police sirens outside my house. Point number 6. Censorship isn't a big deal as long as it supports what I believe. Oh man, talking about big companies. This gets into the next thing. Most of the anime translation companies are where all the the stepping stone to build your translation career goes. Although, the problem is, these translators have to sign an NDA and don't get credit for their translations, so they can't really move up in the world, and don't allow them to post to their Twitter. I mean, it's not like Twitter has always been a place of controversy, and translators lash out at their fans and making fun of them, and will mass block them, all while projecting themselves as the word of God, and constantly shit talk about the fans over and over, or do some controversial shit on the daily. I just can't see why companies don't want to attach their name to this. This isn't like they did this to themselves. Like, these people need the credit they deserve. Stupid bureaucratic reasons. Like, these companies don't know you're consuming the ideas, not the words, of someone else. And how these ideas get brought over is transferred through the lens of a translator's, making them as important as the author, which means translators should get as much credit, if not more credit, than the author themselves. Like, without translators, authors wouldn't even be able to have a career. Like, what are they going to do? Tell the story to their own Japanese audience? Piss off, author. Give your translators the credit they deserve. Without them, no one will ever be able to read your stuff, ever. We aren't translating words. We are translating the ideas, which words play zero part in the idea, which is why you might find that we are localizing it to be the exact opposite of what is said. But, the words aren't actually what matters, it's the ideas, and we say that matter. So if we take Togashi's Hunter x Hunter, the translator should really be getting the one credit for writing it, as they are literally writing the entire story, and made it possible for people to read. In fact, we should change the author just to mean translator, as author means that it's just someone who writes a story, which translators do that, and the author should just be considered the person with some ideas. Man, I'm just showing how much I actually respect the anime industry by showing where my true priorities lie. It should be with the translators, not the authors, while shilling companies that I believe that are underpaying their people for their creation, and not the other companies, as this one actually agrees with my political beliefs. and they will let you know it. But don't worry, it's not an agenda. So yeah, translators should be able to post their works with their personal Twitter. Unlike a certain director who posted their work to Twitter, that was a bad thing. It caused a huge controversy. In fact, can't you see the problem with posting your work to a personal Twitter? Thank God, the gall of these people. But also let translators post the work. Point number 7, credit the translators. Whew. But I finally 100% accurately showed the positions these people hold, and even with these 100% accurate positions I bring forward, I definitely gave a 100% logical solution, answers, and rebuttals to them. One could say this was the last straw. Man, that was some work. I feel like I did a lot of gymnastics, but for my brain. Now, if you excuse me, I'm gonna go tend to my cats and watch my yaoi. Bye. By the way, this script is a localized script, and if you can prove that this isn't the author's intent, then it's a hack dub. Bye.
Yo, I'm still fucking kidding.
Roll your windows up, pussies, you're uptight. You can't possibly bump this at a red light. You wouldn't even fucking want it, it's hate speech. I didn't even know they was recording, they take me. And I'm so embarrassed now that I hope my parents don't download this album and listen with their earphones. This is such a sheer song. This is such a sheer thong. Get your beards on. This is